Good evening. It's a Friday night. I want to do as much welding as I can tomorrow during daylight, so tonight I'm gonna finish up a few repair pieces, or at least start them off, and then that should speed up the amount that I can get done tomorrow. Last time I did the crude chopping and a bit of a go at panel beating the repair section to go in there. I'm just looking at the replacement battery tray and how I'm going to attach it in, because it's quite well, it's not oversized, it's an original pressing, which would originally have sandwiched between that reinforcing rib and the back side of this chassis rail and be welded at the top and the bottom. The bottom side of it is still in there, the top side I've chopped off. So in order to rejoin the new one neatly, I'm going to see if I can drill out all of the plug welds or spot welds through there, separate that bit, slide my new panel trimmed down in there, squeeze it all back together and then plug weld through, so that way it should look totally factory and sort of the same as the other side. You can't see the other side because of those pipes, but yeah, it should end up with a really nice neat little repair. So I'm going to have a look at how best to do that now. I've cleaned this area up a bit so you can start to see the spot welds in that flange, so I know where to drill. I've also removed the top of the the battery tray off that reinforcer, and I'm going to start taking some reference measurements from where the battery tray used to sit on that inner wing to well, anything that's not going to move. So perhaps that I'll just draw a line somewhere higher up and then just mark off where that return is, so that when I go to put my battery tray back in, I've got it at the right height. So I'm going to do that in a minute, and then I can chop that part of the inner wing out where it's gone crusty and get the remains of the battery tray off. There's another way of repairing this, and that is to simply put a disc through the top of the flange where that battery tray reinforcer comes down. So just cut through there, because when I've got the battery tray on again, I can seam weld that from the back side. So rather than having to do spot welds, I can just seam weld it along, which will be quite neat, and it'll be on the back side so you won't see it. Annoyingly, I found a bit more rust down here than I anticipated, so I'm going to have to do some repairs to there, which might change the way I go about fixing that bit. So as always, I don't really have a strict plan. I'm just going to keep nibbling away at bits, try to make it up on the fly as I go along. So here are my reference lines. That just says 54mm from there down to that, which is the remainder of the battery tray, and again 65 down that straight line to there. I've also started making my chops to get that bit out. Just going to finish it off now by hand with a hacksaw, and then I'll use that as a template. Mini update: I have chopped out that bit there, being careful not to chop through my glow plug relay, and then that section was the front end of the battery tray, welded to the underside of here. So I've just drilled out the plug welds, pulled that off. There's a little hole there I'll need to address. When you feel the underside, there's actually not much rust there, which is good. So now I just need to get the return out of that side. This is the panel. So I don't need that front section, so I'm going to drill out the plug welds there. All the rest of it I need at the top. That's the bit that I just showed you that had deformed and is welded under that front panel. And then what I'll end up doing is trimming this bit, probably like that or something similar, and then the bottom like 10mm will get sandwiched between that plate and that flange. So the next stage is to separate that plate from the flange and drill out all the plug welds, if I can get to them that is, so that I can weld through onto that battery tray. Change of plan number 945. After I chopped through there to separate that reinforcer from this whole chassis rail, I had another look at my panel and thought it would be a shame to chop that up, and actually it extends all the way down to where it goes into the front subframe front mounting point and the near side section of the near side rad support bracket. Hopefully you understood that. But basically, when you look under here, that panel comes all the way down here and runs all the way back into there. And that bit's rusty on mine. I've just sanded or ground back to the flange of the inner, inner chassis rail, the lower flange. So if I can unpick all of that, my nice new repair panel should drop all the way through, and then I'll have really nice metal to drill through and plug weld back onto that seam, and that will make for a lovely repair. So it's a lot more work, quite a bit more complicated to try and thread it all through together, but it will be really nice. So that's what I'm going to do. So yeah, this is why I say I never quite know how the repairs are going to evolve, but I'll be happy that that's then a really nice solid repair, and completely separate of the wheel well. So if I do need to come back in a few years and replace the wheel well, or somebody else does, at least that bit next to it is really solid and they don't have to do that. Right, I'm packing up because it's cold and it's really dewy as well, which isn't helping. So I've got that pretty much all of it out now. I've got a bit more to pick out tomorrow. Just that last little bit behind the panel on the right there, that bit, I don't know where that came out. All the rest of it's picked off, and you can see inside the chassis rail, which is good. All that's rust free. So yeah, just need that last little bit out, and then hopefully tomorrow I can weld in the new battery tray.